Okay, says we're live. I think it's extruding. So this is my junky filament that I've getting readings with calipers from 1.77 to 1.72. It seems like it's hanging up in the pressure fittings. So yeah, right there, it's not feeding. Yeah, it just keeps getting stuck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fake it out. I'm going to pause my print, and then we're going to undo the feeder tube here. I'm going to stop my print actually. So one thing with the MMU2 that you can't do is you can't just feed in through the top right there. You have to run it through the MMU2 unit to be able to have the FINDA detect the filament. So we'll let it detect the filament, except we're going to park it back there and we're going to fake it out and run this up through or up over the top of this thing and just put it into the extruder like that. And then I need a short section of filament to feed into the MMU2 so it can detect something. So let's print that again. Whoops, that's not what I want. Yeah, now it's going to. Now it's going to mess up. Okay, so let's. Settings. Calibration, I think it is. Auto home. There we go. Okay. Print. Okay, so we'll start the print. It's going to auto home, and then it will ask me for which filament I want to use. Which I don't think you guys can see my screen. Maybe you can. Maybe probably can't read it, but okay. Filament 3. So it's going to start feeding and put in filament 3. Okay, so now it's detected it. It's fed it out through the tube over there. laying down a bead, but man, it's awful high. Yeah, and that's what I thought. It ran into the end. Even though I auto-honed it, I don't get why it does that sometimes. Okay. Then it dropped down at the end. Yeah, and now it's like too low. We'll see. I've slowed it way down too. Just to give me some more time to fine-tune. That actually looks pretty good. Speed it back up to 100. So it's one of the little cute dragons. What was this? I don't know. This is No Name PLA green. And of course, I didn't buy just one roll. I bought 2 rolls because it was such a great deal. Yeah. So now I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But if I can make it run, at least this will tell me that the filament mechanical properties are okay, that it will print, which is what I was questioning. I was thinking, oh, I've got the wrong temperature, or I'm feeding it too fast, or something else is going on. No, it's just that the tolerances. Hey, Gustner and Toyman, howdy. So yeah, so it's just the tolerances are crap on it. Because if I don't send it through these little fittings, seems to do all right. I don't know if it's the fittings. Must be the fittings. Must be the fittings that it's having a hard time going through when it gets to the fat spots. So we'll see. We got about 4 layers into it once it started doing the infill, and it started jamming up on me and it skipped a layer. So we'll see if we can get an actual print out of it. Just run it straight into the extruder. And then I bought, what did I get? Where's my other one? So I bought a bunch. So this, I bought an 8-pack of 3D Solutech. So this is made in the United States. It was a pretty good deal. 8 rolls of this was $139, I think. The tips were not looking bad, Gustner. The tips would actually refeed. That part of it looks okay. I think it's mechanically the filament is getting stuck in the mechanism. So let me get you around here. I can show you. So I've shortened the tubes, the feed tubes. Oops. Adjust the arm. Okay. So I shortened up the feed tubes. Come on. All right. So these feed tubes used to be way longer, and there was quite a bit of resistance on there. Because just putting the my little strain gauge on the end of the filament, pulling it through there, it was hard to pull. I mean, it was probably putting a half pound of resistance on the filament. Now, I was getting with this green filament going through channel 3 with this tube in there, it was pretty high resistance. And that's because there's a kink where this little clamp part, where those 4 bolts are. Focus, darn you. So there's a clamp. Okay, you gonna focus? The idler, yeah, the idler's in the right position. The roller with the bearings, yeah, that stuff. So right here where this clamp goes on, these tubes do not go in straight. It puts a little bit of a kink in there, and the reason they do that is so that there's some friction to keep the filament from falling out when it's in the parked position. You know, as the back here, as the filament unspools and winds around, if it gets tangled, it could catch on the other filament and cause it to fall out of that thing. But I don't think it would, because there's enough friction on that, even without the tube, that it's not going to go anywhere. And at least if it failed in that mode, well, it would know that there's no filament. It didn't load. It would park and wait for you to come and correct it. So I may go ahead and pull all these tubes and try it. But what I'm finding right now is this filament is just not on tolerance. So there's my, I don't know if you can read the calipers. No, because it's never going to focus on stupid cameras. Okay, so I get 1.75. And here I get 1.77. And here I get 1.74. And there, 1.76. 1.74. I was getting down to 1.72. 1.71. Oops, you can't see that. So I think the consistency on that roll of filament is just not very good. Let's see if it's still, yeah, it's under, looks like it's under extruding. I don't know if it's because it's caught. I mean, it's pretty, it's moving. No, it's not feeding. It's just not feeding. And I've tried upping the temperature and putting it lower. And so I think that's my problem. So I may break open a couple rolls of the Solutech and see if I can get a good print off of here. Yeah, because that's not working. It's quit again. I don't know that you'll be able to see it, but if you look down in there, it's not extruding. It's just jammed up. And I've done cold pulls. I ran some nylon through there. Yeah, and that's what I was. It doesn't. It's not really clogged. It's because when I heat it back up and just push some filament through it, it goes right on through. But what's happening is the inconsistencies cause too much friction when it's trying to pull out and go back in through this tube, and it's like it gets caught in the top of this little teeny PTFE tube. So let me stop this. That's stop it. Yes. And it's going to unload its fake piece of filament, maybe. See, it's unloading it. It's not in the hot end, but it's unloading it. And so if I hit real quick, if I preheat for PLA, grab this filament. So I pull it out and we'll cut a new end. So the nozzle's still hot. And we push it back down through here. So right now, normally when you push a piece of filament through there, it'll grab the Bondtech gears and push the Bondtech gears. But this filament is not. It's just skidding right past the Bondtech gears. So I'm wondering if it's maybe not round. It's got like a flat selector, the spring selector thing. No, I don't think it's the spring selector thing. I think it's just this. Yeah, that's 1.71. And if I rotate it 90, it's 1.71. So it's just, this is just junk. It's just junk. I don't know what the spring selector thing. No, let's open another. Let's get rid of this thing. I'm gonna get rid of this roll. I don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but maybe the Cetus can handle feeding this stuff. I don't know. So that tells me that it's the filament because it won't even feed it with just the extruder by itself, let alone going through the MMU. So let's break out one of these. So I'll put you back over here. So this is the 3D Solutech. I've never used in this. No, I've tried tension at the Bondtech gears. I tried loosening it because I thought it was too tight. And that doesn't seem to be it. 3D Solutech. So that's cool. It's packed nice. You know, vacuum packed, got a desiccant bag, but everything does. Yeah, throw away, do not eat. All right. Maybe it's just the green color. I've tried switching it from channel to channel to try and see if that was what was causing it. No, I think it's just that roll of filament is junky junk. Okay. Where's my end at? Apple green. Okay. We're going to try just printing this with a, well, let's measure it first. .72. Oh, my calipers are freaking out here. Must have. Done something. Okay. All right. There we go. Yeah, 0. All right. 1.74. 1.77. And for Chinese calipers measuring, yeah, 1.74. That seems all right. All right, let's try it. Same way, we're just going to run it up and over, and let me just shove it in here. Well, that's already better because as I push it through the Bontex, at least the Bontex are turning. It's not just skipping right past it. Yeah, so it's not, well, it's not, yeah, it's not pulling correctly. It's running up over top of these smooth rods and stuff up there, but it should still pull the filament. I mean, there's less drag on the filament running over top of the MMU than there is with the filament running through the MMU and all those tubes and their filament guide arms and stuff. So let's try this. Let's try this again. We'll just do that little dragon. I mean, it's a good, little dragon's a good test because it's got a lot of retractions. Where's my pop? MK3 was printing perfect. No. Now, I will say that the other thing that came with the MMU2 upgrade was the new extruder body. So this is all the new extruder parts. But I'd made a couple prints with it, and it seems fine. You know, I did a couple single color prints, and I did get a full 5 color. I did 5 benchies and a sheep with the MMU2 with just a couple of rolls of stuff that I had laying around. And I had a couple skip layers, but it was the funny thing was it was the Prusa white that skipped the layer. So, and that may have just been initial setup, you know, because I didn't really tune it up all that much. I checked it, but I just kind of put it together and checked for friction and kind of just let it fly, and it completed successfully. But then as soon as I set it in here on my shelf, this is already looking better. Let me get you down here. This is looking so much better. Other than the blob at the beginning, because I am bypassing the MMU2, so that was our purge. But I already had it pushed into the extruder, so it thinks it's loading it through the MMU, so it's pushed out a big old glunk of filament there. So I just, because I was playing around with it, I replaced the filament, the PTFE, between the MMU2 or the selector and the extruder with just a piece of clear filament just to see if it would work. It didn't help anything. So I still got my chunk of orange filament. I'll put that back together once I figure out what's going on. But okay, based on just how this first layer is going down, it was definitely the filament. Definitely the filament. Because I was even having failures just doing those two little test cubes that I was doing. So if it makes this first layer, I'll stop it and I'll hook up the feeder tube and we'll run it back through the MMU2 and maybe print out those little test squares and see if the gold and this green will play together well. Orange. Okay. So the orange is actually bigger? Wow. Okay. Oh, it is bigger. Okay. Well, I'll put it back together that way. And I think that's, yeah, that's going to work. That's definitely extruding. Okay. All right. So let me stop that. Whoops. Sorry. Had you in the wrong spot. Okay. Yard you out of there. Okay. Throw that thing away. That is the Crapso filament. And we'll pull off this. So yeah, whoops, I just put this in here just to see what I could see so I could watch the tips go back and forth. And the tips were actually looking pretty nice and had no problem going through this regular standard PTFE tube. We'll put the orange stuff back on there. And we'll hook that back up. Okay, and I'm going to print my little 10 by 10. Ah, stupid thing. I'm going to hit reset. Stupid knob, every once in a while, just decides to go one further than what you want. Okay, well that's heating and doing its thing. I'm going to pull the gold out of there and retrim the end. Try the spring selector mod if a filament is way off. Well, it wasn't that it was not feeding through the through the selector. It was that the Bontex would not grab that stupid filament. That's what I was finding. So what was happening when it came to the end, it would try and do its purge and its ram, and it's not doing what it's supposed to do down inside there. And then when the Bontex are supposed to be pushing it back, it was still in the Bontex. And then the MMU, the selector up there, could not grab it and pull it out of the hot end because it's too far down in there. At least that's my theory. This will kind of test that theory. All right, come here, you. All right, what are you doing? You are loading number 2. Yeah. So I think the selector and the MMU and all those feed teeth up there seem fine. And I went back to the stock settings for the ramming and everything else, or at least the modified settings that like Chris Riley and those guys had posted, because they seemed to work. Okay, so it's pushing out. It didn't quite clear all. Oh, there's the gold coming. Yeah, so like I said, I've used this gold before, and it didn't seem to have a problem with the gold. It was hanging up with the green. So cool. Well, it's laying down a nice gold first layer. What's weird though, in this mode where it's only doing 2, normally it does a full infill, a full first layer in the purge block. Oh, I know why it's not. That's why it's not. It's because I'm used to printing the 2-color fill, and his first layer is only a single color, so it lays down a whole purge block. Springs, it looks like it gives some wet play to fix that issue. Oh, too close, too far from the Bontex? Well, I did the individual adjustment thing, and that seems... What is going on with you there? Okay, come on. Stop. I see. Okay. Hang on. We gotta trim this guy. Okay, I'm not... Trying to fake the system here. It's not working for me tonight. All right. Where's my tube at? Yeah, it's going to error out here in just a second. Put my tube on. Let's push it up in there. Okay. Oh, I see. Where are we? That is the... All right, where did we not unload? Of course we didn't unload. Got a blob on the end. There. All right, there you go. Are you happy yet? No. All right, now it's happy. Let me push this back up through there. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Load. Unload. There you go. There we go. All right, we're going again. Zero B's firmware is MK3. Fine. 6 speed. Okay. Oh, really? Well, so that sounds cool. But unfortunately, I don't want to be on the front line of firmware development. So I'll wait until I get word that that is working before I go pushing it for my machine. Okay, we are feeding, so that's good. Is it purging? Not yet. It's down to the Bontex. I'm looking through. I can see that it's in the Bontex. And we get some green. So make 2 laps around with that. It is feeding. Why is it? Now, I don't know what the hell. Well, bummer. Sorry, lazy. I mix this loading. Yeah, exactly. So now it's missed a green layer for whatever reason. Let's see if it can manage to unload. Okay. That looks fine. reloading the gold. Let's see if the gold comes through again, or if the nozzle is clogged because I did something wrong. Okay. Well, and then it pulled that off the perch tower. Okay. So we missed a layer in green. Let's see if this unloads. It pushes it back, okay. Yeah. All right. And now it's really going to have some hard time because all right. Well, we'll take that gold out of circulation too. Let's try. We'll put the green in the first slot. Well, slot number 2. Get rid of that. Great. Come on. Well, that one worked fine. But it's not working fine now. Okay, what color should we put with green? I got silver, yellow. I think silver. I don't have enough Prusa silver. Let's put the silver on it. MMU1. Delayed for the first time. Yeah. I know the feeling. You know, and I swore I was not going to be an early adopter, but I almost pulled the trigger on an MMU1 and then was super glad that I didn't when I saw what other people were having problems with. All right, so let's put this guy on here. Yeah, this is not the greatest filament rack ever. All right, where's my wiper at? My wiper on there. And we'll put this one in number 2. Okay. Let's hit. There's a string left from something. We're going to hit reset and let everybody restart. Get all lined up. Get back into position. And oops, I want to do load filament, load number 3. Okay. And load number 2. Good load. All right. Main. Print. 10 by 10s. Okay, gonna move a bit up. Oh, so you can see the MMU. Sure. Let's see. Yeah, how's that? Is that better? Want to see more of it? You should be able to see all of it, right? Well, some people are having good luck. You can't believe that after all the beta testing that there's still so many issues. Some people are having good luck with it. Like I said, I'm probably the one who caused most of my problems by trying to use crap filament to get it to do my tuning. So that's my fault. That's my bad. Now, again, this is a brand that I've never used, but it seems pretty good and got pretty good reviews. So we'll see how it pans out. Okay, it's in the gears. It's throwing down a fat bead, purging that gold out. Yep. All right. That looks good so far. All right, good. So that's a nice looking purge block outline there. So usually the first load goes pretty good. It's about the 5th or 6th time it's got to pull that filament in and out that something can go wrong. Although I did have 2 successful prints earlier with my little test. Okay. See if I can see through there and watch the tip as it goes past. Somebody must make clear tubing that it has the right diameter, you would think. Okay, it's out successfully. It's back. It's running out. You can see it back here. I don't know if you can see it, but do I write down my results? Well, so far I haven't had successful results, and I haven't been tuning or tweaking any settings in the slicer. But once I get something that halfway is successful, yes, I will start. So I did get a little, I've got my little cheat sheet here. These are stock settings. These are Chris Riley's settings. And Khalil on the Prusa forums. So this is what I've got it set to right now, is this first column. And they're not that much different, just a little slower on loading speed and doing 2 cooling moves instead of 1 cooling move. And I did up the, I did go back to the stock ramming settings with those other settings. So, because what I was finding was that the ramming was causing some jamming in there. That's looking good. At least the skirt is looking good, and it did a nice purge. So, second layer, here we come. All right. That silver looks, I mean, it's silver, but that first layer looks very, very dark gray. Not much silver. All right. Let me see your, it's out of the Bontex. It's coming out of the tube. You want a closer of the stuff coming in and out of there? Check MMU. Yes, Chris Warnaki, whatever it is. Yes, I watched his video. And who was the other one that posted a video? Victory over MMU2. Watch both of those. But I think Victory over MMU2, he's the guy that's on the forum that's doing the custom firmware, and he's updated, so he's got a straight pass through for his tube, so he's not using the little short section. He's done a bunch of different stuff that I'm not real comfortable. You know, he was a beta tester, so he's got more time with it. I'm not real comfortable making that many changes to the thing until I get a little bit more experience with it. So, hey, second layer is okay. That's all right. Looks good. Let's see if it comes out again. So 2 cooling moves. I know that Chris Orkaki had cranked the retraction and a bunch of other settings, and they looked promising. They looked, and I may go back and try his settings again now that I figured out that it's the filament. But holy cow! Yeah, Kelvin 0. Yeah. And that's the thing, is there's so many variables. Is it the filament? Is it the tubes? Is it binding up on something back here? Are my temperatures wrong? Are my settings wrong in slicer? It's just, it's like you're starting all over, just learning how to 3D print and slice things again, with every single checkbox that you could possibly imagine that you got to go through and figure out what it's doing. So the one thing I am noticing is that it does a big retract or a wipe after it finishes the purge tower and before it starts on the model. And it's almost like it's too much. And I'm not sure where that setting is in the slicer. So that's something that I need to dig into, because it doesn't look, unless it's in the G code, which it could be. I got to switch back to the right printer here. In G code, if it has a wipe tower, bloody. Yeah, it does a 10 millimeter retract on the cooling. No, it does okay, so it's going, the G code is E2 F5000, G1 E2 F5500, G1 E2 F6000, G1 E minus 15 at 5800, G1 E minus 20 at 5500, then a G1 of E of 10, a minus 10, a plus 10, and a minus 10 at 3000, 3100, 3150, 3250. Then E of 10 at 3300. So when does it do the start G code? There's a start G code. That's just the starting. Before layer change, after layer change. Tool change G code is empty. Between objects, G code for sequential printing. Yeah, I don't know where that's. I don't know where that setting would be. So right now it's ramming down in there. It's feeding to purge, or to prime, I should say. Now it's purging. Well, the prime purge tower looks much better than it's been looking. More filled in, more like my first successful prints. That's awesome. Okay, so there's pulling it out, pushing it in. So do we have one more layer of green, or is that it? I can't remember. Is that 1.2 millimeters? That should be the last. This should be the last move, I think. It says it's at 91%. Yeah, low unplayed. Yeah, he changed the it wasn't the unload length, it was the cooling, where the cooling position was and the length of the cooling tube was the other thing that I remember him saying that he changed. Sorry, Spider. I didn't mean to upset you. Okay, so now I'm going to swap these back. Put the silver. Put the silver back in channel 2 because that's the way I have Commander Phil sliced. So do that. Get you out of here. Okay. And why am I not using more? Well, just because I'm not. I'm using 2 and 3 because I've already checked them. I know that they're free fulling. You wanted to see the tips. Let me bring it over here. So that's the tip on the green. And come on, you can do it. I know you can. Well, there's the tip on the silver one. Not too bad. I think they're all right. Seem to go through there okay. All right, so let's put those back in. Let me get this off the bed. Yeah, this is much better as far as the purge block and our little models. They're just little boxes, but they carry them out okay. The top layers look good. Bottom, whoops, drop that guy. Bottom layers look okay. Oh, come on. So that was all right. But yeah, the purge block is much less see-through, much solider than what I was getting before. So that's a good thing. All right. Let me set you back up over there, and we're going to do, we're going to start, there you go. We're going to start anyway, filament. Nope, not the pyramid. Okay. Yeah, the tips look okay. That's what I said. We're getting. I mean, I think the settings that we've got are pretty well tuned in. It's, that's the generic PLA filament, which what I was using before was not the generic PLA filament, which I may have screwed that one up. I don't know. I may have to reslice this. So one thing I was using the Prusa filament because I forgot that when you go into slicer, you have to pick all your filaments by extruder. So I screwed that up. Let me load that model real quick. We'll see what it looks like, but I'm going to load the filament fill model and just double check. Yeah, see, I've got this Prusa still in here. So let me go back up here, blue color fill. Open. select generic PLA. Is it loading? Which one does it want to load? 3 to 2? Oh, no, 3, 2. There it goes. Okay. Yeah, I pulled the filaments out, so gotta reload. Set generic. I don't know how much difference there is between the two of them. Let me set that up. Put color 1 is extruder 2. Color 2 is extruder 3. Okay. Current settings. That infill at 15%. That's fine. We want 3 perimeters, 4 bottom, 4 top. That's good. Filament settings. We got all that. I'm going to pick generic just so I know. Printer settings. That's good. Later. Let's slice now. Whoops. Edit. Slice now. What are you doing? The 2 is loaded. Oh. Nope. It thought it was loaded. I must have timed it out. There it goes. Okay. All right, hang on a second here. Go up through there, pull that back. All right. Okay. Yellow, green. Okay, now we got it. There we go. All right, pay attention to what's going on. All right, let me move my purge block out of fill. And I'll keep an eye on this, see how it's working. We got silver. Back to the let me get back to the chat. Sorry. Oh, see you later, Gessner. Sorry if I missed you. All right. We're going to do Phil's boots. And it's got quite a ways to go before it before the change comes. So set it down here. It's not going to get run into, hopefully this time. Okay. Sorry, sniffles. Oh, it's really hard to see that, but it's laying down a beautiful first layer. I might raise you guys up a little bit. Let me get a little closer. No, it messed up on one of his treads back there. That's my fault for not putting down new glue stick. Yep, that's not going to work. Okay, we're stopping. Because we just broke the tread loose. But That's okay. We'll get it going. I will preheat PLA, keep it warm because we're going to start right back up again. I know people are going, why are you using glue stick on a PEI sheet? Well, just because. The one thing I don't want it to do is release, and that's what PEI does when it cools off. And so I just want it to stick and stay stuck. Okay. Okay. I just have a good feeling about this one. Now that I've said that, I've cursed it, but that's all right. Might be time for a little celebratory barley pop. Got to hang here until the first green layer goes down because it's not loaded into the machine yet. So we will we'll be there shortly. Okay. All right, this is looking like a perfect first layer. I'm loving it. It's awesome. There we go. Rocking and rolling. Got his nice little boot prints there. So I guess I get to go on Amazon and fill out my review for the lime green filament and say, utter crap, do not use. Won't even feed through the Mark III Bontex. And give them a horrible review, because I know I'm not going to get more filament from them. But they'll probably just change their name and keep manufacturing the same stuff. Yeah, I am keeping my eye on chat, but there's nobody there. Gessner took off. So just you and me, Mr. Camera. Trying to remember, I think it's 2 millimeters. It has to get up to 2 millimeters before it puts down a first layer of the second color. Okay, going for the purge tower. One more. We got 2 or 3 more layers, and then it'll connect all the threads together, I think. And the timer says it's got 20 hours remaining. That's amazing. The one that I just sliced, let's see, see what it says for time-wise, the other settings, generic PLA settings. "17 hours." So a little bit faster with the new settings. Okay, well, I may print this one and then I may print another one, and I may do a purge to object kind of a thing. Forgot to tell 3D Kestner, he was mentioning something about protopasta, that somebody he knew or heard about, whatever, got a clog, got it stuck in the tube because of bad filament size, and I should have said something right then, but I was preoccupied. But protopasta, if you got a problem with it, call Keith or send him an email or Twitter at him. Probably email's better, but they're good about replacing a roll of filament or whatever, because they want you to be happy. You're paying premium price, it should be premium product. So definitely get a hold of them and have them replace that roll. Okay. We have a few top layers going in here, and then we'll be on to the color change. Okay. So I'll probably stop the stream once the first color change goes in, and I'm going to hang out here and watch the, because it's boots. So it's got color change, does a few layers of the green, and then it goes back and it does double color, and so be lots of switching back and forth through his shoes, and then it goes to his pants, which will all be just green. And then from wherever his pants and his gloves or something is a different color, and so from there up it's pretty much color switch every layer. But it's the first few. If he can make it through his shoes, I have high hopes of success. So that's a good solid infill layer. Looks really nice. Because the previous layer was a bridging layer. Well, that looks silver. Looking good. Yeah, it's feeding nice. And I'm printing at 215, 215. So it's 215 for the first layer, and I'm keeping it 215 for the rest of the layers. Seems to be handling it pretty nicely. Yeah, very nice. It's going down great. Okay, we're at 1.8 millimeters print height. So should be any time now we'll get our first screen layer. I run my printer pretty conservatively, about 40 millimeters a second. Outer layers are 30, something like that. 50 millimeters a second for the infill and supports, which we're not using supports. Kind of in line with what Alex from Protopasta said about people ramping up their filament, changing their filament speed. So you go from 40 millimeters outer perimeter and then do infill at 100 or something, and he says it's just, you're putting a lot of shock, a lot of pressure changes, and extruding filament, you want to be more consistent than that. Once you got the flow going, you just want to keep the flow going, kind of a thing. So expecting the system to recover instantly when it's shifting gears like that is kind of unrealistic. But, some people get away with it. Okay, I am seeing some little skipped layers. Not really skipped layers, inconsistent extrusions. At that point, got my Bontex tightened up pretty good, but I can adjust them up a smidge more. Give them another quarter turn, maybe that will help. I don't see any debris or ground up filament in the Bontex, so they're not slipping. Okay, we're at 2.6. I think 2.8 is where our first green layer is, or just after that. Must be higher than that, or we'd be seeing it do its purge. 2.8. I suppose I could look at the slicer and see where it's at. 3.4 millimeters. Okay, looking good so far. We're at 4 millimeters. Okay, here comes the color change. Yep, made it out. It's ejecting. Sweet. Moved over. Wants to load. It's into the Bontex. It's down to the hot end. It's pushing out the silver. Priming. Purging. Feeding. Definitely feeding. Cool. Sweet. So far, so good. Let me look at the model and I'll tell you where his shoes start. Back up again. Tips of his shoes. All right, 5.8 millimeters. So we're at 4.8. All right. So, 2 more layers and then it'll be color change, color change, color change. Sweet. So I'll stick with you until we get to the first back and forth color changes. We'll do 2 layers and then I'm going to head in and let this thing run. Okay. Over to the silver. Let's see if it makes it down here again. Should. Yeah, perfect. and purge. Okay. Successful silver from green. That's awesome. And that should be enough of a stream. So see you guys later.